Welcome, aspiring writers. WPBS has opened their writers contest for this year. So if you are in kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, and you live in Northern New York or Eastern Ontario, stay tuned for some advice about how to enter your strongest story. The first thing to recognize is that writing is a process, and there are three main steps before you actually finish a story. First, you should brainstorm your ideas. Then, you draft your story. Last, but certainly not least, you edit your work to make sure it is clear and that your reader can understand it. Brainstorming is just a fancy way of saying that you are thinking of the ideas that you want to write about. To help you with these ideas, consider some of your own favorite stories. These can be from the books that you've read, television shows that you've watched, or even the movies that you've seen. Do you like stories that are funny or stories that have characters going on adventures? Maybe you like stories where there is a mystery that needs to be solved. When you brainstorm, write all of your ideas down and then pick the one you like the most. Once you have your story idea, you can start to draft, which is when you actually write your story down or type it up. Always remember, though, stories should have a very distinct structure with a beginning, a middle, and an end. This helps your reader follow along with what's happening. In the beginning of your story, you should introduce your characters. Remember to share details about your characters. Like, are they people or are they animals? Maybe they are aliens from outer space. Along with your characters, you should also introduce your setting in the beginning. The setting is where your story takes place. This is the location of your characters. So it can be a made up land or it can be somewhere familiar, like New York State. The middle of your story is where all of the action takes place. This is when your character encounters a conflict or a problem. Maybe they are nervous about a test in school, or maybe their pet hamster goes missing and they have to find it. This is the part of the story where you really develop your ideas. So be sure to add lots of details and descriptions. Finally, at the end of your story, you should share the resolution. A resolution in a story is when your character solves the problem and the conflict is resolved. This means that your story can have a happy ending or a sad ending. It all depends on how you write it. And now, to review. Writing is a process with three main steps. In the first step, you brainstorm your ideas, and in the second step, you draft your story. Remember that your story should have a distinct structure with a beginning, a middle, and an end. You might think that's it, but there's one more step, and that's when you edit your work. Editing is when you review your story to make sure that it makes sense. Go through and read your story out loud. Is it organized? Is the conflict developed? Does the action have a lot of details? This step is so important because as the writer, you know what you are trying to say, but you have to be sure that your story makes sense to your reader. Don't be afraid to make changes when you edit. Many writers go through more than one draft of their stories. Finally, once your story is all written and revised, be sure to add illustrations. You should have at least 5 original drawings with your story. Readers always appreciate seeing pictures with the words, so be sure your drawings match what's happening on the page. More information about this year's contest, including rules and regulations, can be found on the Writers Contest page. Simply go to the WPBS website and click on the Education tab to learn more. The entry form for the contest, as well as resources to help you with the writing process, are all available online on the Writers Contest page. Feel free to download them and print them out. If you have any other questions, you can also contact the Manager of Education at WPBS, Lauren Buttimer, whose information is at the top of the screen. The Writers Contest is open now until March 31st, 2022. Remember, writers must be in kindergarten, first, second, or third grade and live within the WPBS viewing audience to be eligible. You can submit your entries in the mail directly to the station, or you can scan them in and email them to the address on the screen. Good luck and happy writing!